Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sequoia Project podcast, the podcast dedicated to talking about the ins, outs, ups, and downs of business. My name is Coby and Dale. I'm joined here by my co-host, Dale. Say hi, Dale.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're well, and thank you for tuning in once again.
What was that?
Very formal. That was a little bit formal. I don't know
To
why.
whom it may concern, I hope you're doing well on this fine day.
Yeah. Anyway, what are we talking about today, man?
We're talking about if we're the good guys or the bad guys when it comes to business, sort of how we see these roles now that we're business owners. I mean, you've been a business owner for a while, but compared to back when we weren't.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're going to go through. And the reason for that is I had a story come across my, well, it didn't really come across my desk. It got spoken to my face. And I thought, this is a very interesting lesson to go through because I think I would have seen it differently. Like when I used to work for people, and now I'm a business owner, I see it very clearly the opposite way. So I thought, let's have a conversation about that because I don't think people know or are aware what your role is as a business owner and when being a good guy or when being a bad guy actually benefits you, or benefits the people around you. So we're going to jump into
Capitalism
it
is
today.
evil, apparently.
Okay. Anyway. Anyway, let's start with I'll tell you the story first, and then we'll swing to you for.
Okay.
Actually, no, I don't like that. Fuck
Okay.
that. I'm going to ask you first.
Oh, no.
What being a business owner now compared to when you weren't back, 2.5, 3 years ago? How did you see people that like the business owners or the managers directly above you? Did you see them as good guys or bad guys, and why?
I think it depended on who they were because I had bad managers growing up. They were awful. I worked for a couple of bad businesses too, so I think I had such terrible experiences with higher ups and sort of how they were in that hierarchy and that kind of system. But I think I always saw so many people as just like super rich, kind of, take advantage of that lower class. I mean, I was getting paid like $18 an hour as like an adult, and I was like, this is bullshit.
Wow.
Which, yeah, that's terrible. Terrible pay. And then I got fired because I was like, hey, I'm not doing this job for $18 an hour while doing like the management job. And they're like, that's not on. You kind of don't work here now. And I was like, all right, sick. That's awesome. So my experience with it wasn't great. But like when I worked at the gym prior to it shutting down, I thought that corporate was great. Like you actually had access to literally the owners of the company. Like they had their details there. You could talk to them if you needed. You could do all that sort of stuff. So I think it was very much, for a long period of time, I thought those higher up corporates were such like stuck up rich douchebags that kind of just like took advantage of anyone that wanted money. But then after seeing that experience with that business and like the genuine passion that they had for fitness and like the actual people that they were servicing and everything, that made me see it slightly differently. And then around that time was when I started business too. So I kind of was able to see that different aspect of where they were taking it. So I guess I went into a good business at the same time that I started business. So I was able to see that kind of distinction, I suppose.
Yeah. I think that's a huge kind of, a huge pivot point is like when you understand why the business owners think the way they think, it becomes a very different story. But when you're just an employee and you go to work and you do your 40 and you're like, oh, well, they made a choice that doesn't benefit me, so they must be assholes. It's very easy to see them as the bad guy. And then in other ways, it's very easy to see them as the good guy. You go, oh, well, they pay my salary, all that kind of stuff. I should be grateful. I should do more. And it's like, well, is that the right thing to do as well?
Yeah. My first full-time job, actually, the business was very like money hungry, and the owner in that was like literally only for money. I think they're literally so in debt now and actually going through lawsuits and whatnot because of the money that they scammed from their workers and everything. Some of the people that used to work with me they haven't been like paid super or anything like that. So
yeah, I had that.
Yeah, so as the actual business owners there, they were kind of really money hungry and terrible. So I guess it was so easy to see that as like an evil level because of like the actual actions that they were taking to the staff underneath them.
Yeah. See, that kind of stuff, that's just straight up bad people stuff. Like,
yeah, but when that's your first
that's
time,
not even.
That was my first full-time job. at like
Yeah.
18 years old. So I was like, this is fucking awful. I hate business. I hate working. I just want to do this anymore. Fresh out of school, fresh out of COVID too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did finish my schooling during COVID, so going out there into the workforce, and that's my first experience. I'm like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
This is awful.
Yeah. Yeah. People can be pretty shit like that. My first, when I did my apprenticeship, it was the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
my boss was handing me pay slips with my superannuation on them, and she set up my super account for me because she's like, "Do you have?" When I first got my job, so I was like 14 or 15, and she was like, "Do you have a super account?" I was like, "I don't even know what superannuation is." She's like, "That's
Yeah.
okay, we can set it up for you." I was like, "Great." And then she told me who they use, and she set me up an account. And then she was giving me pay slips for 4 years, and I was like, "Great." And then it wasn't
I
until
could
I was
retire
like,
soon. This super is insane.
well, I was like, it wasn't until I was 18 where I was like, all right, I should actually start giving a shit about what superannuation is.
Hmm.
And I logged in. I went to log in with the details that they gave me, and there was no superannuation. Like, they just hadn't paid it, but they'd been telling me for 4 years that they'd paid it.
Oh my
And
God.
I was like, oh, great. So you've just been pocketing my money for the last 4 years. So yeah, I understand that. That was my first job as well. So
Yeah.
that puts a bad taste in your mouth.
100%.
But yeah, but now, so let's get to the story, why this all came up. So I had a customer of this Coy project call me last week, and it's him and his best mate, they're co-founders, and they started a business which they needed funding for. So they sold equity in the business before the business existed to third parties, to people that didn't, that basically just saw the potential in the business and were like, cool, we want to ride this wave up.
Yep.
And what happens there is you've got co-founders, so then you've already got a 50-50 kind of split of like, oh, this is where we see it going, and they have to agree on everything for the direction. So that's tough enough. Then you've got equity investors involved where they're like, hey, we want the most money out of this thing, so you have, like, do it this way. So there's a lot of these, talking heads in a room kind of thing. Anyway, we did sales training for this business. That's how we met them. We got 30 of their salesmen in a room, and their numbers were pretty atrocious. And we got them in a room for like 2 weeks, and we went over everything about sales, how we do sales, how we do it organically, how we don't make the customer feel bad. It's not pressure selling, it's all that kind of shit. And their sales numbers went from, about, let's say that just conversion, so we don't have to go through everything, but just their conversion numbers went from about 18% to roughly double, 35, 36%.
Yeah, beautiful.
Which is fantastic.
Good at what you do.
Then the month after that, they did record high sales number, which was like 41% conversion. So for that industry and everything like that, very good, especially coming from 18.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We did that mid to late last year. Well, I get a phone call and they said, hey, we need the sales training again.
Yeah.
And I said, how big's your turnover been? Like, would you have a whole new, like, have you built a whole new sales crew?
Between the sales?
Probably like 5 or 6 months. Like, not long at all.
Really short.
So I originally thought, oh, they've had a heap of turnover, or they're building a second sales team. So I was like, good. All the money that they've made from the first sales team doing better, they've invested in a second sales team. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, who are we training? What's the deal? Where are we at? And they're like, same guys as last time. And I was like, what do they need sales training? What do they need more sales training for? And they were like, I was like, where are the numbers at? And they're like, oh, like, they're back around to that 20% mark. And I was like, hold on, but they've been up to 40, like 41%. I was like, why? How have they gone down? How have they got worse at selling after they got better? And they're like, oh, look, they're just not motivated. They're not hitting their quotas. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. And I said, well, that's not a sales issue. I said, that's a management issue. I said, you haven't been managing these guys correctly, and now their sales numbers are in the toilet. And I was like, what KPIs are you measuring? And they're like, oh, we used to push those, but we don't really push them anymore because it was stressing them out and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. And I was like, so what do you actually want here? And they're like, we want you to come train them again so the numbers go back up. And I said, I'm not going to come back and train them just for the sake of talking to them. Like, you need to motivate and manage a team. And they said, one of the co-founders, who's a bit more of a hard ass than the other one, said that it's his job to manage the sales team. And he said he's been being relaxed with them because he doesn't want them to hate coming to work. And I said, why do you care so much about that aspect of it? And he's like, because I want to have a good work environment, and I don't want them to be stressed, and I want them to love coming to work, and all these good things. And I said to him, so the whole reason that you don't hold them accountable is because you care about them. And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, well, the fact of the matter is you don't actually care about these people at all. You think you do, but you don't. The reason for that is because you have a board of directors that you have to answer to. Those board of directors hired me to do sales training. Now your guys aren't performing, and by being relaxed on them, you are letting them, like, if they don't hit their numbers, the board of directors will fire them. You have to answer to your investors, and they will fire them. So you're saying you care about these people, but you don't care about them enough to be an asshole to hold them accountable so that they can keep their jobs. Now, what would make them more stressed out? Being accountable for their work at work or losing their fucking house?
Yeah, losing the house.
Yeah. What's going to make them more stressed out? Not being able to pay for their kids' school fees or you telling them they have to do their job? It's as simple. And like in that moment, I was telling people sometimes being the good guy is looking like the bad guy and never getting a thank you for it. In
Yeah.
business, that's kind of your job. Your job is to be a good guy and a villain whenever it's needed for the good of the people who work for you. They don't understand how the business runs. They just want to go and do their work. They want to make their sales calls. They want to go home. They want to get paid. The board of directors will see that growth isn't working. We'll see that they've invested money in sales training and it's not sustainable. They will cut costs. It will be in the people first.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the reason why I want to bring this up is sometimes like the biggest thing that I've had to swallow is when you've got 50 employees, you want those 50 employees, especially the ones that built the brand with you, that were there since day one. You want those people to feel great as often as they can. But you also have to explain to them that when you make hard decisions, you make it for the benefit of everyone. Because if the business goes down tomorrow, no one has a job. No one gets paid. Everyone has to look for work that they hate. Everyone has to go to a place that they quit, And sometimes you're not going to get a thank you. People aren't going to thank you for riding their ass and making sure they're on point and making sure they do everything we said we were going to do. But at the end of the day, they'll have their job for 10 years and they'll love you for it.
If you're part of the sales team too, wouldn't you feel better converting 40% over 20%? Like more yeses over the no's?
You would 100% think so. I think over time, you kind of just get into the groove of like, oh, well, I think everyone does that.
You kind of get like used to a no sort of situation too.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like, dude, you just go to work every day. So it's like, and especially in sales, every week is a zero again.
Yeah.
Like, you're only as good as your next week kind of thing. So it gets repetitive. And then you kind of get into this flow of like, how little can I do to still earn the money at the end of the week?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what they got into. And this guy thought he was being a good guy by being like, look, let's just let him chill and like let him, have a fun work environment and, not be so focused. But he was actually doing the wrong thing, being a bad guy in the way that he's going to let these people get fired. And it wasn't going to be his call. It was going to be above his pay grade. So that's where it came from. And I think even in that example, you could probably see now as a business owner, you go, doing the right thing is caring about the people underneath you and caring about the business as a whole rather than just how they feel.
Yeah, I think that's different. He's more so caring about how they see the business rather than actually caring about them particularly. If he's seeing that they see it as a fun place, relaxed, you can go get your paycheck, then that's sort of that's caring about the image he's portraying to them more than actually caring about how they do. Because if you care about your staff and everything, you'd want them to constantly be better at their job.
Yeah, and not to mention, dude, like I think you hit the nail on the head there with how they see coming to work, but also how they see him. Let's say just John, because I don't give our customers names, but let's just say John. They go, oh yeah, John's
full
really
legal
chill.
name, his address,
yeah, here's his email. But yeah, let's say John. The team is going to go, oh, he's the really chill guy. He's the one that you can go and say, tell him that you're not going to come in next Friday because you've got a party. Like he's that guy. And I think in a way, caring about how they see you, thinking that's how you like caring about them. It's not. It's really selfish. It's actually caring about yourself.
Yeah, and also I think it ends up seeing that you're the manager that gets like kind of walked over. Like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. They're not doing their work. Like they know the processes they have to do to make good sales. They've made good sales now. So it's like the reason they're not doing it is just because you're not the guy that they have to do it for.
Yeah.
Otherwise they would.
I think it's really interesting because when I was a manager, that was my first management role. And I had my best friend working for me. So there had to be a level of like distinction versus being an actual manager. And my best friend is working for me. I can't be a complete arsehole to him sort of situation.
Yeah.
And then learning that kind of balance of being like, look, as much as you're my best friend, like you need to do your job. This is for this business. So while working at the gym, I was able to go have however many hours I was actually on with him and be like, here's what you need to be done for the day. Here's what you need to achieve. And then after he's done with his shift, it's back to being the best friends again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think you need that. You need to be able to separate that in your head and kind of go, this is what needs to get done versus about this is how we feel about doing it.
Yeah.
And like that old fucking story.
Everyone's
like,
going to hate
doesn't
doing
care.
something.
That's hard to solve. Yeah, that's the thing. Like no one goes, I mean, very, very few people go to work for a predetermined amount of time and go, I'm going to love every minute of this.
Yeah.
Like very few people do. The thing about work is you have to do stuff you don't want to do as part of work. Like that's why fun and play aren't the same. That's why work and play aren't the same thing.
Even
because
in
one's
business,
way more fun.
No matter how much you love doing something, like I love photography, I love going out shooting the weddings, I love the people I meet, but there's so many aspects that I hate about it. Hate about the whole business side, which is why like in business, usually you outsource the stuff that you don't like first, but you have to do it all first to be able to outsource that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Otherwise, that's how a lot of people waste a lot of money. But so that's kind of how it goes. Like that's a scenario that kind of wisened me up, or just gave me a different framing. I was like, with the people listening to this, they probably think I have to be the person that's liked all the time, otherwise no one will want to work for me.
Yeah.
Or I have to be the asshole all the time, otherwise no one will respect me. It's none of those things. It's just understanding what the whole scenario needs, and because you're the person steering the boat, it's the most important thing is getting there safely, not how much fun people have on the way there and doing those things. Those things are bonuses, but you need to make sure that the ship is sturdy, the ship is seaworthy, the ship is safe 24/7 first, and everything else comes after that. And even if sometimes people think you're an asshole, hey, that's fine. Like I'll take that if that means all the guys that I care about have a job for the next 12 months.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting and something I can resonate with. I think I remember one Christmas, maybe I was drunk as fuck. I mean, that sounds like a Christmas situation. I was messaging you and being like, I want a situation with the business where I can look after my staff and I just want them to have fun and I just want them to like know that they're appreciated and have this like stuff where they can have the parties and like really look after them. And you're like, that's a great dream to have, man. Like I appreciate that. Please leave me alone.
It's Christmas. This is Christmas.
Exactly. But I think that's something that I always, because I had such negative workplaces, that I'm like, it's so important to me to have that positive workplace environment and be the boss that people feel like they can actually come to and talk to if they have an issue within the business, and have great staff and know that they're appreciated despite like how hard you can push them and everything in it. Which I think that's the difference of, you can push staff to do really well in their job, especially like sales or something. You can always push them harder, but I think it's showing the appreciation afterwards and actually putting in that effort to incentivize them to do the better job that's going to make a difference of whether you're seen as this absolute asshole versus like just some pushover. Because if you get your staff to achieve like, and they do like 110% of their goal, and you just give them a pat on the back, it's like, well, why am I achieving 110% there if that's all I'm getting? But if you show that appreciation and like even something like staff dinners, or I know a lot of places do like gift cards or something like that. I don't know. But anything to show actual appreciation that they've done their job well, they're more incentivized to continue to do their job well. No matter how you kind of, I mean, obviously there's an extent of how you can act during the time. But I think it's the difference between being seen as an asshole and not, is how you reward their actual behavior.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's also like for us, the biggest thing with our team is like, all everyone, I mean, I hated all my jobs. Every job I've ever had, I hated it. Like every minute of work felt like I was wasting my life. And then when I built my environment, I was like, all right, I'm going to take all the things that I thought I could do better when I was an employee, and I'm going to actually do them better. That's what I spent all my time doing. And so we created an environment where I loved working for myself first, and then everyone that came into it, I took all the parts I used to hate about the job and made them as bearable as possible. Now, even just making them bearable was fantastic because everyone hated that shit before.
Yeah.
So it worked great. But the biggest thing for me was I tried, especially early on, I was like, cool, I've got these goals. If I hit them, then the business will be ahead this much. If I exceed these goals, I can jump me forward 3 months, 6 months, whatever, in terms of reinvesting or whatever it is. So I had this thing at the start where I was heavily incentivizing people financially. And I thought, everyone comes to work for money. That's the only reason they come to work. And then I learned very quickly that's actually not true. And it can, in some ways, be detrimental to your business. So, for example, if every time someone does a great job, you give them $100, when they rock up to work and do an average job, you're not going to give them the $100. They're going to go, I get $100 every time I work. And then you don't give it to them. And then you go, where's my $100? Well, you were never actually promised that $100.
Yeah.
But they start to expect it. And then they start to expect that if they have an off day, they'll still get $100 because it's just one off day. And then when they have 3 off days, they'll be like, where's my money? And then they go, well, if I'm not making $100, I'm not going to do any of my work. And it actually starts to go against you. So we run these things called motivation profiles, and I would highly encourage anyone that is listening to this that goes, "What the fuck is that?" Reach out to us about it, and we'll actually tell you exactly how it works, because it's probably one of the biggest staples of our business and reducing turnover. We have these things called motivation profiles, which is there are guys that just want respect. There are
Yeah.
guys who just want to feel valued. There are guys who just want to earn money. There are guys that just want more time for their family. We keep up to date with everything of these guys, and we motivate them accordingly. And we change the motivation from time to time, so they know that we give a shit about them, not the fact that we just think money will make everything better. And we get a lot more out of our guys for that, because they know I'm going to push them hard. They know I'm going to try and get the best out of them. But I'm not doing it for me. I'm not doing it for the business. I'm doing it for them personally and their own growth, and the fact that they can share in the wins that everyone else gets.
Yeah.
That it's kind of like, the background comes from football. And when you run a football team, you're only as strong as your weakest player. And that's exactly how I run this business, or these businesses, is we look at how can our teammates lift each other up, so that the accountability isn't because you're getting paid. The accountability is, I see Coby next to me working his ass off. I'm not going to let him down. I'm not going to
Yeah.
work less than him because he's pushing hard. He's got dreams. He's got goals. I want to help him achieve those. It's this really good network of like cross accountability. It's not because Dale said, or it's not because Ryan said, or it's not because the business said. It's because I see the guys that I come to work with that make working
It's an
fantastic,
actual
working their
team.
asses off. I want to do my part to make sure that they don't have to lift as much. So it's a really good system like that. And some of it is incentivized financially, and a lot of it's not. I would probably say on average, it's probably 70-30, 77% not financially incentivized.
Yeah. I mean, I think so many people would take a little bit less money if they go into a job that they love versus a
Yeah.
shit ton of money and a job that they hate every single day.
Yeah, and even like money's a great tool. Of course it is. But if you're in a shit situation and someone always tries to patch over their shortcomings with money, you start to value money less, because you're like, I'm just getting bored off to not talk about how shit this
Yeah.
place is. And that's really what you want to avoid. You don't want the concoction for people to actually, and then you can't, once someone doesn't value the money that you give them anymore, you can't incentivize them any further, because they've got no respect for you. They've got no accountability to you or the business or the people around them. So money just becomes this thing that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you gave someone $1 million a year and then said, "Oh, here's $100 to just leave us a good review," they're going to be like, "You can't buy me for $100."
I put a fucking $1 million a year.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It falls away, but that's why being the bad guy, quote unquote, the bad guy. As long as you're doing the right thing for everyone, you'll be seen as the bad guy sometimes, and you won't get thank yous, and it'll be really hard to just stand it and do it alone with no one being like, "Oh, I get why he's doing that." But it's not their job to get why you're doing that. It's your job to get them home safe.
I think
That's
early
it.
on, that's going to be something that so many people struggle with, especially if they haven't managed a team or anything like that before. It's going to be constantly wanting to keep everybody happy.
Yeah, and you just can't. I've walked into rooms of people, so like I really like I don't even think I've talked about this on the pod or even done anything about this. So maybe only just you and some clients would know about this. But there was a time where the business was growing at a very, like, especially the construction business, at a very fast rate. And through COVID, there was so many material price changes and things like that. We couldn't, and people were dropping contracts left, right, and center. The problem with the construction industry, and for people in services, they'll know this, but when you bid a job and you're like, cool, we're going to do part of this job, whatever it is, it's this much money. You usually do all of that in advance. They sign a contract and then they're going to pay a deposit on before you start.
Yeah.
But when you sign that contract, if the prices of material change or supply gets disrupted, whatever it is, your timelines are at risk and your bottom line is at risk. And what a lot of people were doing during COVID, when all these contracts were flying around and everyone was growing their teams, a lot of people were signing any contract that would come their way because it looked like huge money. But as the materials got shorter and shorter supply, the prices went up and up and up, and you ended up taking on a contract that you were basically going to service at cost or worse.
Yep.
And everyone was saying to me during this time, this is the gold rush. Like, why aren't you just getting guys and vehicles and workshop? Like, why the hell are you not just going crazy? And I was like, this can't be sustainable. And with the price increases that we've been seeing, I can't sign a contract for a year from now. The prices might be 6 times the cost. I won't be able to service the contract. Anyway, everyone is buying contracts, bidding contracts, doing whatever they can do to get contracts. They're taking on more overheads, more vehicles, more whatever, more liability. I actually went the other way. And I said, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to downsize this to guarantee that the team gets through like this whole uncertain period, and we make it through to 2025. That's really what I want to do. So we took the like 6 of the newest guys that we had, and I had to go, and they were doing great. And at that time, we only took new employees from direct referrals from people within the team. And I had to go and knock on 6 people's doors who were great, who were doing a fantastic job, and tell them the business couldn't keep them. Now, that was really, really hard to do, to tell 6 fantastic workers, family and friends of people who work for us, knock on their door and tell them that we weren't going to be able to have them anymore. But it was the right thing to do for the business.
Yeah.
After all of that happened, and like I saw that, they would never have seen that, because they were like, I just love my job and I want to go to work every day, and that's fantastic. I saw that there was going to be a huge gap in the market later, which was, if I was correct and this wasn't sustainable and the prices were going to get too high, people would be dropping contracts left, right, and center. Guys would be going out of work left, right, and center. Vehicles would be being sold left, right, and center. And we could pick all of that up for cents on the dollar and run it out ourselves with a proper crew.
That's your chance.
I did. I took that gamble. If that didn't happen, we were still going to be okay, because we were leaner than ever. So it was going to be fine. But I took that gamble, and it paid off. And like 2-3 years later, construction companies going out of business left, right, and center. They're selling their vehicles cheap. Guys are sitting on the couch. They can't get work. They come to work for me for way less than I would have paid them in the gold rush.
Yeah.
I get the contracts for way more than they would have paid, because they've got a half-built building. They've got a half-built frame. They've got tools and equipment sitting there wasting money. We'll give you twice what the contract originally was bid from, because we need this done. It's just sitting there costing us money.
Yep.
We picked all that stuff up then, and I got to go back to these guys. And if they hadn't found a job they loved, I got to say, I can give you a 12-month commitment, hands down. I'm sorry, I can give you a 12-month commitment straight away from our end. You will be on the books for 12 months, no matter what, whether you work or you don't.
Yeah.
And we got 4 of those 6 back.
Yeah, shit. Yeah.
And they're still with us today. But for that year or 2 in between, they would have been sitting there going, Dale's an asshole. I can't believe I had the best job I ever had, and now I couldn't have it anymore. But they still work with us today, and they'll work with us for the future, because the business is healthier now.
Yeah.
And it's in a more predictable spot.
And you wouldn't have had that chance if you didn't take it. The business wouldn't have even been there.
Yeah, no way. Everyone would have lost their jobs. If I had fucked that up, everyone would have lost their jobs. We'd be no home to come back to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have looked like the bad guy to a lot of people for a lot of time. But in the end, they were all like, "Oh, dude, I get it now."
Yeah.
And sometimes you won't even get that. And that was nice that I got that, but sometimes you won't even get that.
I mean, so many people won't see it unless they're in the position. And I mean, as far as things go, losing 2 people all up out of every company that went out of business, I mean, who's on the better end?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, you need to, as a business owner, you need to be looking short and long term, 24/7.
Yeah.
I saw something in the industry in the global market that I thought was a signal, and I was like, okay, I'll move according to what I think here rather than what everyone else is doing, and it just happened to be right. Now, it could have been wrong as well, but by letting 6 people go, we were lean enough that even if we just did our minimums, we would still get by.
I think that's something that people are going to start seeing a lot more, especially now with like the war and all the prices and cost of living and all that sort of stuff. It's something that a lot of businesses are going to have to start looking in the future too as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and like it's really hard to tell when these things are going to happen, and like no one has a crystal ball. But if you kind of know everything about your business and you go, cool, I know what our best month was, our worst month. I know why our overheads are what they are. We're not taking on anything we don't need. We don't have bloat. If you know all that stuff, in times of crisis, it's very easy to adapt. If you don't know that stuff, then you need to reach out to us in the comments, or you need to jump into the group and ask the questions, or get us to ask you the questions so you can find this stuff out. Then when the next crisis hits, you'll be good as gold.
You're getting good at these. I should just let you outro them all now.
Buddy, that was probably my best one yet, I think.
It is. And anyway, you can actually find all of those links down below in the description of both the Spotify and the YouTube. And we're always available.
If you have eyeballs and one of these, just scroll down from here, whoop, just like that. Bang, you'll see all the links. Click on that. You can talk to us. Or even if you don't want to click on the link and you look at that little blue line and you're like, that's disgusting, I don't want to touch that. Just go like down here like that, maybe 2. Click on the comment and just go, hey, Dale and Coby, this is what's up with my business. What do you think?
Even if you don't have one of those, chances are you listen on one of these.
Oh, holy hell. Look at that. That's a phone. For anyone that's listening and not watching,
Scroll
he's got
down
a
on one
phone
of
in
them
his
bad
hand.
boys.
Type it in. Text us. It's just like sending a text. Everyone's probably sent a text before. Just, hey, Daz and Cobes, I want business money. Help now. Ooh.
But X.
Fire emoji. XOXO. We'll hit you up.
But until then, we'll see you guys in the next one.
We'll see you in the next one, guys. Cheers.